Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I'm Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. All right, guys, the oral arguments for the Supreme Court case went down today, and there were some zingers. There was some really, as they say, spirited debate. Some really great stuff. Tomorrow, I'm going to bring you the best top one-liners that all the justices had, because there were some really, really good ones. But tonight, we're going to talk about overall what they were discussing, where they're angling, to give us an idea of where they're probably going to interpret, just based on their questions. But we're going to look at an article tonight, which is so fatalistic, from the New York Times, and we're going to dive in and we're going to walk through it, and I want to know what you guys think. But before I go into that, I want to say one more time, there is a link in the description box below. I'm looking for people to partner with me on a new venture. It's something that's really cool. We got a lot of great people lined up, but I want to know if you guys are interested in being an investigative journalist, a editor, or a researcher. Click on that link below. Fill out the Google Forms. I want to hear from you and what you'd be interested in. We have a lot of great people, like I said, lined up, and we're going to start something great because we are going to continue what they started in Virginia and drive this thing forward because we're going on offense, people. And it's going to be a new medium. It's going to be amazing. But now, let's get back to this New York Times. I hope to hear from you. So, Justices' questions suggest New York gun control law is unlikely to survive. Bing, bing, bing is exactly right. The law, which imposes strict limits on carrying guns in public, faced a skeptical reception from the Supreme Court on Wednesday. And like I said, tomorrow night's segment, it's going to be there's so many good one-liners from the conservative justices. All right, Washington. A New York law that imposes strict limits on carrying guns outside the home seemed unlikely to survive its encounter with the Supreme Court, based on questioning from the justices on Wednesday. The law requires people seeking a license to carry a handgun in public to show a proper cause, and a majority of the justices seem prepared to say that it imposes an intolerable burden on the rights guaranteed by the Second Amendment, which it does, and that's the point in question here. This is the interesting thing. On its merits, on the case, it looks like the justices are going to say, no, this infringes on the Second Amendment, which it does, but it seems like they're going that direction, which is the whole point of the title of the article from the New York Times. Now, the hearing, quote, provided a roadmap for New York to follow, said Adam Winkler, a law professor at the University of California, Los Angeles, and the author of, quote, Gunfight, The Battle Over the Right to Bear Arms in America. Now, this is the same guy who said the Supreme Court is going to destroy it in the article a couple days ago. Now, what's important here is, just like in the Heller decision back in 2008, the Supreme Court did say you have the right to bear arms. You have the right to defense in your home. And what that did was that opened up this scenario where, well, you can do it in your home, but you can't do it in public, which is the reason that we're here today in the Supreme Court, because New York and a lot of other liberal states said, well, you can't bring it in public. Oh, yes, I can. Oh, no, you can't. Lawsuits, laws, legislation, all the sorts of stuff. But that's the point. They're kind of leaving the door open, and where they're going here is interesting. Now, this is where they really honed in on. This is important to understand the outcome and probably what they're going to decide, or at least something of that nature. The justices appeared convinced that restrictions on guns in sensitive places were constitutionally permissible, with Times Square and the subway as potential illustrations, he said. Perhaps we will see New York loosen its permitting requirements, but strengthening the restrictions on sensitive places to make it very difficult for carry in New York City. That's what I'm talking about. You can't restrict people's availability of permits, but you can say where they can't go with that permit. That's kind of where this is angling. But let's keep going. I'm going to walk you through this part right here. This was funny. Barbara D. Underwood, New York Solicitor General, told the court that limits on guns in sensitive places would not be a complete solution. So New York State is saying, or New York City is saying, no, that's not a good solution. Quote, you end up having a very big difficulty in specifying what all the places are that have the characteristics that should make them sensitive. It has an attractive quality to it, but in implementation, I think it would be unsuccessful. But Miss Underwood's defense of New York's licensing system did not seem to satisfy the majority of the justices. The question the justices agreed to decide in Wednesday's case, New York, the case number, was whether the state's denial of petitioner's applications for concealed carry licenses for self-defense violated the Second Amendment, which it does, which they're saying it seems like they're going in that direction. But it opens up the sensitive places argument, and that's where I think this is going to get interesting, because just like I said earlier, Heller said home, you can't touch home, so they went public. This one goes, you can't restrict permits, then they're going to go to sensitive places. The battle always continues, and we will always be fighting on this channel and every day for the Second Amendment, but it always will change. The destination is inching in our direction. And here's the last thing that they said, this is important. But the issue of restricting guns in sensitive places got a lot of attention at Wednesday's argument. Chief Justice Roberts asked Mr. Clement, who is the defendant's lawyer, for instance, whether states could say you're not allowed to carry on a university campus, and that sparked a whole different debate. Where this is looking like it's shaping up, or at least it looks like in about 80 days we're going to find out, the Supreme Court is going to say, nope, you can't do that with restricting permits based on your cause. But you can say certain areas are sensitive, which is going to lead the states to go, fine, you can have permits, and we're now a shall issue state, but you can't carry it in these sensitive places because they're sensitive, and I'm sensitive, and we're all sensitive. That's probably where we're going to go, but we will find out. Make sure you check tomorrow's bullet points because we got to touch on Virginia, we got to touch on New Jersey. There's so many things, and I will see you then. Thanks for stopping by.